Imagine getting to the time period where we actually have a global choice. We can move away from the past thousands of years of evolving debt-based consciousness, and we can move into a needs-based consciousness if we choose. Now, the only way we can do that is actually for somebody to tell us what a needs-based consciousness gives us and what that looks like. And if we wanted to know about that, we can go to the or we can buy a book called The Business of Tomorrow, The End of Poverty, Hardship and all the rest of it. Or we can just listen to videos, podcasts or whatever these things are called, where we can get a bit of a gist about what a needs-based reality looks like. So let's begin. The Menaian Way is now a 12-year-old concept that began as a vision on a mountain. So keep listening because it's not that crackpotty yet. And what it ended up being is a needs-based reality where the outcome is freedom, equality, safety, security, stability and peace. And we get that by default. So there was a lot of work involved to actually get it to a point where through a decent foundation, a decent goal for society, and through new systems and tools, that we could actually have these systems and tools that give us our basic needs for free. So our needs of housing, electricity, telecoms, transport and a basic amount of food and water. So if we're going to be able to obtain these through our systems, then we can achieve freedom, equality, safety, security, stability and peace by default. And that's the purpose of what we're talking about today. So the Menaian Way is a esoteric philosophy, esoteric because nobody understands it because it's millions of layers thick. It's a concept that started and has grown and grown and grown, and it includes everything. So it's a unity-based order, and it begins with a circle, believe it or not. So the circle is the shape of society. So picture Earth with everybody standing around the edge of it holding hands. So that's the shape of society, and that is also how authority works. So there's no one sitting on somebody else's shoulders so they fall off into the stratosphere. We're all holding hands together, so we're all going to have the control over what goes on in Earth, or on Earth, or on Earth, in Earth and outside of Earth, I suppose. So mankind ends up becoming in charge of all of the systems rather than God. So we put God up there, or the old order put God up there so they can get away with whatever they want, and it's all God's fault. But you can't do that when humanity and the planet are what we now have to abide by. So we have to do good for all of mankind and the planet. So that's a major difference that comes in, and that makes sure that governments, if they're still going to be around, will be responsible to mankind and the planet, the same as corporations, companies, little businesses, and you and me, our families. So because we're all going to be responsible to ourselves as a collective, it means very simply that we create systems that are good for us all, that don't need to be changed, so they become leaderless and they become automated. Now that's something that Aristotle and Plato didn't figure back at 345 BC when they said that the true leader of society would be someone they'd call a philosopher king, who could actually put all these things together and not leave anything out. And you would hope that that's what the Menaian Way is. If the Menaian Way is a philosopher king, that'd be great. Because at the moment we've only got what Plato called a polity, which is when democracy gets taken over by the politicians and they do it for their own self-interest rather than for the good of the people. So this system, this global choice that I'm speaking about, is something that's good for the people. Now, those who are extremely wealthy, I'm not condoning anything, like we're not removing them and their wealth or doing anything like that. What we're doing is overlaying one system with another, and people can choose to be in one or the other or both. So it's an interesting concept too, because we might at the moment still rely on trying to make extra money when the other systems aren't ready yet. So we're still going to need a bit of money to go with, but eventually we'll be moving into a world where we don't need to rely on governments or anyone for handouts anymore. These systems will do it for us, so we don't actually need that. And it should create a new renaissance period for everybody and create abundance and get all these markets working again and businesses working again for the good of all, rather than warring over them and blocking them for the people, So the global choice comes down to this debt-based reality versus a needs-based one. So I've put it there as a competition, but it's not a competition, because in the Menaian Way there doesn't need to be any competition. There's only competition for those who want to blame this, that and the other thing and beat people at something. So that's what competition's for, but you don't need it in the Menaian Way. So as we have this choice laid out in front of us, as based upon that philosophy or that prophecy, that the One Earth, Two Paths prophecy, we do get to look at ourselves and say, which wolf are we going to feed? Are we going to put all our effort into this debt-based world that hasn't been doing too well for us for the last 600 years or however long it's been, or do we feed the wolf that we don't know yet? It's just a pup. It's going to grow up, we can feed it, tame it, and get it to act in the kindness to us as we can act in the kindness to it. So you can use these terminologies of which wolf do we feed and which path will we choose, but there is a global choice at the moment, and it's not the global choice that you're all expecting that's going to come out of Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping. All of these things are sort of irrelevant, because they're still warring over the debt-based world, and that's not what we're about here. So our systems are dual, so they're like a dual occupancy, where we can play one with the same cash and coin as the other. It'll make no difference to us, but it'll make a difference to them being the authorities that are warring over the debt-based world. So anyway, this was just a little bit of information on the global choices that are coming. I've got a company called Empower Us Australia, so you can go to empowerusaustralia.com too to see the business systems that I'm building, and most of those systems are for everybody, so I don't get anything extra out of them like you would expect in the other world. They're based so we all equally benefit at the same time. So anyway, I'm Glenn Phelan, and this is the Menaian Way. Thank you.